we'll see some new fields that are on here right now. So we've got some fields on here to support planning. So we've got one here which is planned labor. So once you're at the right stage on an order, and we've blown out all of the subsequent lower level production orders, it will actually go through and aggregate up all the time that you have on all of the levels for all of the labor operations that you have. So it'll give you some idea of the labor requirement that you need. It's not an MRP system, but at least gives you something that you visually can look at and see. When you've completed the work order, it'll actually go through over here, and it will actually tell you what your actual labor was. So if you want to do what plans against actual, that would just be another reporting activity now. The system will be able to do that. Okay. It's got another field on here which is component dependency, and it goes through, and when you lock your plan in, it goes through and it checks everything that you may be short of against the allocation routine that's in Core Acumatica. And if you're short of product, it will tell you what your dependency is. So if we go in and we look here at one that I did just a little while ago, we've got, it tells us that to complete this operation for 20 of this unit, that all of the operations, which include the lower level subassemblies, will take 20 hours, or 10 hours. This one says 10 hours to do that. And so if we look at the labor individually, it's 300 minutes on this particular work order. But as we go through, you can see that this work order is in itself a subassembly. And so the system has created a subassembly production order for it. So 376. So this is now that work order that we saw, and we're seeing that labor. So that labor also becomes a component of it as well. And as we go through, you can see here that we've got one vendor lead time of 60 days. However, because we didn't need any of that, we were just going to pull it from inventory. We had it in inventory. Our component dependency still stays at 0 because we don't have a requirement. If we had taken all of the stuff we need out of inventory for all these production orders, right down to the very last production level at the lowest level, and it put us in a negative quantity, then the component dependency would kick in, and it would tell us, oh, 60 days. And so while you're in the planning stage, so if you go into the planning stage, if you want to know what you can build right now, you could go in and take your assembly. You can take your assembly, and then you can actually, you can go through and you can do, I'll do 14 and what I want, and then I'll just say, okay, check it against my inventory, and it comes through and it's my inventory. Now there's another new feature that we've added here, is that in some cases you may want it to consume assemblies that we've already manufactured. You may decide that there's a standard assembly that you use, and you can pre-make that, and then you can use that and do a number of different models of your kit, but there's this one standard assembly. In that case, you may have them pre-built, so you should check this consume your manufactured stock item. And then when you do that, if you notice down here, it's going to say that we had a requirement for 14, we were going to take 0 from inventory, which means that to fulfill this, we were going to produce them all. But if we try this now, it should give us a different answer. It should say, oh, I did have inventory available, so now it's going to actually, although this is a subassembly, it's going to pull completed units from inventory, and I actually don't have to produce any of these. And then when I go through and I'm happy with that and I freeze my plan, it'll go through and it will create the subassembly, and you'll notice that it didn't create a subassembly for that item that I already have in stock. So, and you'll notice that the planned labor to do this, we had a total of, it should take us 7 hours of labor in order to complete this work order, which consists of this work order, 82, 83, 84, and that's it. I guess it's just 3 work orders that we have for this. This one actually only has a labor item on it, which is a cartridge. So we only had 3 work orders there. So that's what we do. Then the next step, so we're kind of, because we're a planning system, we're kind of working it around the concept of planning. So you really want to do is get your high level, what you think you want done. And then what you want to do is you want to say, okay, I want to freeze that plan. I want to see what that plan looks like. And then that will build out your lower level subassemblies if you need any built out. And it will roll up your time, and it will roll up your component lead time that you need. Now you have that for information. When you're happy with that, if you're happy with that plan, you can release it. And at this point, what it's going to do is it's going to actually create the underlying kits, and then we should see actual material demand that we can start ordering show up through the replenishment system once these kits are driven. There's going to be checks in here. Depending on the way the kit is set up, you may not, this one here, for instance, you have no dynamic capability in this one because the kit is locked down, saying that you can't modify the component. So right now the product has moved way closer to rigid kits. You can still set your kits up so they're not rigid, but these kits are rigid, and so you don't have much flexibility in terms of dynamically creating a bespoke item. That's the product that we were working with for months before. So now, as an overall planning thing, because you want to look on a planning thing, here's what I'm kind of proposing. And to best do that, I can show you a screen I like in cash management. And here's one I like in cash management, for instance. Would this be it? So you end up with, at this level, you pick some point you're going to start at. So it may be monthly or quarterly or however you want to do your planning. And instead of cash account here, it would be that high-level manufactured assembly that you want. And then it will expand this out into all these different columns. And in here you would be putting the quantities that you want for each month. And there would be a number of buttons on here.
Smart.
That what you could do is, now you've got your plan, and it would also show you on the next line, it would actually show you your inventory at that point. And then there would be a button here that if you wanted, you could release, or there'd be a drop down. You'd say, okay, I want to release the work for this particular point. You'd select the drop down, and then you'd say release, and it would now release those, and it would automatically create those production orders that you saw me manually create in the production order system. So you'd have more of a planning system and visibility of what you want to do. It lends itself to the opportunity that down the road you can get fancier with this. You can start, using an algorithm as, a rolling average going forward. You could extrapolate that out in terms of what you think your demand is going to be, but it would give you a little bit more visibility. Now, going back to the production orders, one of the things on the production orders that you have is right now, this particular production order at the top level, so this particular production order at the top level is inherently linked to all of the lower level subassemblies, and all the lower level subassemblies are inherently linked to this top level order. And I'm coining the notion that this is going to be called the apex order, because it's at the top of this pyramid of all these work orders that we have in order to finish this. So it's the apex order. Now, from the apex order, you'll be able to do all sorts of report. You'll be able to do a report of all of the subassembly work orders and all of their individual parameters, when they're supposed to start and end. And then you would have also all the component requirements for the whole order. So I could do a report that could say, okay, show me everything I need and it would actually walk all the way through all the sub-assemblies and show you all of the aggregated components that you need to complete this work order. So there's that capability from a planning perspective that we'll have with this product when it's done. You'll also be able to print a bundle of work orders. So in order to finish this high level, the Apex order, it may consist of 6 or 7 different sub-assembly work orders. You'll be able to print those as a bundle, so that you'll go to the shop and there'll be all these different work orders, because you may want to track time individually on these, but you'll at least have it all done at once, and you won't have to walk through the process of going and picking every work order that you see that's out there. So, but as you can see, work orders have kits. This one has a kit and it has a parent work order. So this one is actually planned, so now the kit is made. And so you can actually go through here and you can see that many of these are actually tied back to the Apex order. So that's very much how a lot of that's done. So that's kind of, it looks, in some ways, look and feel is kind of like the original version, but that's about where it stops. Underneath the covers, the data structure is quite a bit different, because we're not doing this whole bespoke order and locking an order, a uniquely manufactured item to a specific sales order. That's not the focus of this product. The focus of this product is to be just below the line of where it says MRP. We're sort of just RP in this case. So that's kind of where I'm going with this product. So anyway, quick thoughts. Oh, and we still have the ability to back flush if you like, and do that. So